Welcome everyone to this video today, which is sponsored by the Purdue Global Law Society. And John Gray and myself, Sait Tarhan, are pleased and privileged to be able to have some questions and answers with Anne Phillips, who has been a judge and been an attorney as well for a long time and has a lot to offer. So I'll start out with a question, Anne, or Judge Phillips. So in your law practice over the years, what are some of your thoughts about the support that you have used yourself or thought would be good to have, or have you utilized paralegals? I know a minute ago we were chatting that you had been one as well, and I was too for a while. But what are some of your thoughts about the legal support that lawyers need or use, and maybe how that's evolving into the 21st century in even more impactful ways, if that makes sense?
All right. Well, thanks, Site and John, for having me. I appreciate your asking me, and thank you for just saying I practiced a long time and not exactly how long. It's been about 36 years. So I just wanted to briefly touch on the fact that you mentioned that I had been a paralegal. So I actually also had a previous career, and I know so many of our students are changing careers or have come back to school after a long period of time in a career. And my bachelor's degree is actually in broadcast news, broadcast journalism. And I worked in broadcast journalism for about 5 years full time. And then I decided to go back to law school. So I too was a returning student, although I was still reasonably young at the time. I was in my mid or late 20s when I went back to law school. So the one thing I wanted to mention is to let everyone know that in law school, at least half of my class were returning students. So it's not unusual, at least anymore in our generation and the coming generations, to go back to school and retool and pick a new career. And being a paralegal is a fantastic career. I did not get accepted to law school my first attempt. And so I went to the paralegal program at Arizona State University, which is where my bachelor's degree is from. They had a paralegal certification program that people could take if they just had a bachelor's degree. So I took that program and I became a paralegal until I was able to get into law school the following year. So my paralegal experience was in the courthouse. I got a job as a bailiff for a judge in the very court where many years later I became a judge. So that was kind of cool. But there are many, many opportunities for paralegals. In my private practice, when I first did get out of law school, I had a private practice and I hired paralegals routinely, typically to do more secretarial type work because I was a sole practitioner. So if you have strong secretarial skills or you enjoy talking to clients or you enjoy drafting documents, that was the kind of paralegal that I used. Also, we contacted the local community colleges who had paralegal programs who were looking to place people in small firms with internships. So we use that program as well. So in particular, my experience was only a small firm, my own practice. And so there are lots of opportunities for paralegals, especially if you're really ambitious and you want to learn how to do everything and you don't want to just be placed, in a basement doing document preparation like a big firm job might be. So there are lots of opportunities for paralegals or legal assistants. I use the terms interchangeably. It just depends on where your skills lie and where your passion is.
John, do you have a question? Oh, John's got his microphone off. Well, I had another. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, John. Now it's on.
No. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the different career transitions from paralegal to going to law school and things like that? What were some big challenges you faced?
And well, I was very lucky. I had a spouse with a very good job. I was still relatively young. I was only in my late 20s when I started practicing law. And so I didn't have to worry about kids yet. I had kids later. So I didn't have to worry about employment as such. But the good thing now, now, we're talking about the 80s and early 90s. Now there's so many more opportunities for paralegals and so many more types of jobs, in particular for people who are really proficient with technology. I tell my students all the time, there are so many lawyers of any age. It's not just older lawyers, because as we three know, older lawyers can be very proficient with technology. It's not always older lawyers that need help. Lawyers of all ages need help with technology, with online legal research, with software programs, with software management and case management. And so I tell my students all the time, if you can be really proficient in the various legal technologies, you will be very, very marketable. And so I would tell people to really focus on that. And that's probably been the biggest evolution as far as opportunity. You absolutely have to be proficient in technology and then put it on your resume. You're proficient in Westlaw, you're proficient in a certain kind of software. It will definitely get you noticed, and it will probably get you a job.
I had one final quickie question, which totally aligns with what you just talked about in terms of technology. So we're all dealing with this AI and Chat GPT and the world of, that. So if students are concerned about, is that replacing their need in the paralegal world or enhancing their need, how would you tell a student to not have to worry about AI, or that it's a positive thing, not necessarily a negative thing, if that makes sense?
It makes perfect sense. And like with any new technology, there's fear, there's the unknown. What I tell my students is, one time electricity was new technology, right? Um, we've had AI for a long time. We've had AI through the Pandora app on our phones, and the music app. Pandora used early AI. Westlaw used early AI. So AI really has been around for a very long time. And like with any technology, it's going to keep developing. But the good news is that even though there is some concern about AI replacing people, there are a lot of jurisdictions now, in particular Arizona, that is allowing people without law degrees to actually practice law. So while AI is expanding, so is the definition of the practice of law. Arizona now allows associate members to its bar association to have a limited practice. And to be an associate member of the bar, you have to have, I think, bachelor's degree and then a certain amount of experience in some field. And then I think they have you take some kind of test, not the bar exam, but some kind of test. And you can be an associate member. An associate member can represent clients in a specialty area like family law or bankruptcy. So where AI might be doing some replacing, maybe at the larger law firms, there are now bar associations and states that are widening the practice of law to include people that don't need a law degree. And that's very exciting, because that's going to allow paralegals to maybe open their own practice and do document preparation if that's what they love to do. If they want to help people in family law situations, they'll be able to do that, again, without a law degree and without a supervising attorney like most places require now.
That's wonderful. Thank you. John, do you have any wrap up thoughts?
Well, that's great, and I appreciate so much working with you all on this. And thank you, Anne, for your insight. And I like that you brought in the way Arizona does things. And I think it's a good reminder to everyone that every state does things differently on the state level. For example, I live in a state where most of our probate judges are not lawyers. We have 67 counties, and we have at least a dozen counties where we have non-attorney probate judges, but most states don't allow that. So the possibilities depend a lot on where you are, and it would be important to check with your own state bar where you are, because you don't want to get out and practice law without a license in some unauthorized manner. That's actually a misdemeanor, $500 fine, and 6 months in jail in
Yeah.
the state where I live. So you have to be
Uh-huh.
extremely careful that you don't step over boundaries, but that you stay within the confines of what you're actually authorized by the bar to do. And so we thank you for your participation, and we thank everyone for being here and for watching this today. And again, please take a look at the Law Society and join us in our exciting adventure of talking about law from all angles and all jurisdictions. Thanks to everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.